You are listening to Skin, Earth, Vitality, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern vitality. If you are seeking to reconnect with your innate vibrancy, you're in the right place. I'm Emily Davis, a seasoned holistic aesthetician and herbalist. Join me as we unlock the secrets of ancient skincare practices, explore the beauty of seasonal and nature-based living, herbalism, and true holistic well-being for you and the broader ecosystem. Please remember that the information I share in this podcast is based on my personal and professional experiences and is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not individualized skincare advice, nor is it medical advice. I encourage you to take charge of your own health decisions and listen to your body, seeking out the resources and professionals that best support your wellness journey. Hey friends, I've got an interview for you today. I brought on my dear friend Lee Zavorskas, who you may know as Holistic Skin and Tonics on Instagram. Lee went to aesthetics school at the age of 50 as a second career, and she's created this incredible brand focused on her trademark, which is embracing, not erasing faces and all things pro-aging. She is feisty. She's not shy about her opinions on the conventional beauty industry, specifically the profiteers of cosmetic injections. And I was just so grateful to have this conversation with her. So I hope you walk away feeling both inspired and nourished. I'll see you on the other side. Good morning, my friend. I'm so happy you're here. You look amazing. Our friendship started, I feel like, before COVID started. I was teaching for a professional skincare company, and you were like the best student. You showed up to every class, and I was like, I love this girl. She's so serious. And I think that that's one reason why our friendship has thrived so much is you are one of the only people in my inner circle who takes continuing education as seriously as I do and who takes excellence as seriously as I do. So I just love that about you. I think you are such an amazing esthetician. I look up to you so much. I'm so grateful.
Like we would often, I remember when I first found you and I was like, oh my word. Like, first of all, just your voice. I remember listening to you in all of the classes that I took, and it was very calming, but educational at the same time. And it wasn't like, shoving information down the throat. It was like a very methodical, professional. I've always said that you're one of my favorite teachers. And I too am like a beaming mom because I've watched you progress into what you are now, which I always knew, like, girl, you got to be doing this and this.
Yes.
So I feel the same way, and I'm so honored to
Oh.
be here with you. And it's full circle that the both of us, we're still here. And we've always joked about how we're like, dude, did you finish that class yet? No, but I can sign up for another one.
That is true. That's the other thing that I think makes our friendship thrive is we're both Geminis
I was just going to say that.
and we
Yeah.
both move on so quickly.
Yes. We're like, bored, next.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, speaking of getting bored, I'd love if you could share what's a skincare or wellness trend that you really love and that's like a mainstay for you. And then I'd also like to know what's one that you can't get behind, even though I know you have many
I'll try
of
to
both.
narrow it down. So I would say anything that is stimulating the surface of our skin or even slightly below. I think that facial cupping and gua sha are probably two of my favorites. And I know that those might seem very mainstream now, although,
They weren't when we first met.
no, not at all. And I think that for me, it's appreciating the fact that your skin has gotten you where it is now, and being extremely mindful of how you think about your own skin, especially your face, with the combination of touching your face. Like I'm 58 and I'm in the generation that they were like, don't touch your face. So even if I do something on Instagram and I'm making my skin move, people are like, you're stretching out your old lady skin. I'm like, I'm 58. This is what no Botox looks like. Sorry to disappoint you. But so I would say gua sha, facial cupping, hands down, and then just our own hands and being comfortable. I don't know, you know, I'm hoping that more people feel comfortable with it. But, and then as far as things that I can't get behind, there's a lot, but pull up, have a seat. You and I have talked about multiple things. Definitely slugging, just
Agreed.
smothering your skin. It's not that our skin is like a breathing mechanism, but it, in its sense, it kind of is in its own
Yeah.
little way. I think that overdoing things, like when I see people post like 8 skincare things for their routine, which no offense to those that enjoy, I always say, if you have the funds and it makes you happy and you take the time to do it, have at it. But especially us professionals, if we post like a 8 to 10 pieces of skincare, I have an issue with that because we have an influence on people, whether we like it or think that we do. And so if other people are seeing that, they're like, oh shit, why am I not using 8 things? So I would say an overabundance of skincare is a trend that I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of retinol at all. I don't think our skin needs it. And if people actually researched scientifically what retinol was used for, it's actually not used for what it's sold as. And then I would say any kind of major disruption to the barrier of the skin. I'm not a fan of hydrofacials at all. I think they're a waste of money. I always feel bad when estheticians pay the $45,000 for the machine and then they're not as busy with it because the rep was like, oh, you're going to blow up and sell all these treatments. Not a huge fan of overcomplicating the skin in general. I think that my motto has always been less is more. Um, and I'm hoping that that kind of goes in that trend, but I would say that's probably the biggest thing is the trend of overdoing it. When people are like, oh, I got a hydrofacial and then she did a dermaplane and then she did a peel, and I just want to cry because I know what it's going to
Oh,
do to their skin. And
yeah.
then they come and see me and I fix it. Maybe I should send them a thank you note, but it's too much. It's too much. But
Yeah.
we're a society that thinks that, you know, a scratchy cleanser, a foaming cleanser, it's mentally, if we don't feel like it's working, we don't want to use it. Perfect
Yeah.
example, Laurel, the cleansers.
Yeah.
They're not creamy, like they're not foamy. So it takes a while for people to transition mentally from what they're used to something that's really simple but effective. So that's
Yeah.
a long version of that answer.
And I agree on all points of that. And I love that argument. The skin doesn't breathe because that is a function. Respiration is a function of our skin and it does breathe in its own way. And you are suffocating it when you're slugging. So
And it's petroleum.
yeah, exactly. And
Especially,
for reference or for clarification, anyone who doesn't know what slugging is, that is a I think TikTok trend where you smother your face in Vaseline right before going to bed when there's
which
so
makes no
many
sense.
beautiful balms. It makes no
Yeah.
sense. You could use a beautiful balm that will absorb. Shout out to Laurel with the best balms. And with that being said, I mean, I just agree with everything you said. And I think that we are very like-minded in our business models. I feel like we're very just aligned with our views on the skin. So, with that being said, how did you get here? What led you to become an esthetician? And then what really drove you in the holistic realm of aesthetics?
So again, I'm 58. I went to school at 50. So I'm the example of it's never too late to follow what you've thought about doing. I was in the hospitality industry for decades. I have 3 sons. They're all full-grown men, and I wanted to wait. Uh, there's 2 reasons. I wanted to wait till they were all kind of off doing their own thing. Secondly, I knew if I stayed in the hospitality industry, I would probably kill somebody because that's how that was going. So I went to aesthetic school at 50, and I knew immediately in school that there were some things that they were teaching us where I was like, man, no, no, that doesn't make sense. And no offense to esthetician schools, but they really don't teach you a lot about like what you and I know. We both know that we kind of had to unlearn what we were taught in aesthetic school. Um, so I knew when I was out of aesthetic school that I would have to somehow start taking classes in a holistic approach because I was really interested in the gut, mind, face connection. And I knew that skincare itself was the last thing that I really cared about. It was more about long-term care for someone's skin because I am older and I know what's going to come down the pike for many women. And I was lucky enough to find like you and some other mentors that I have ended up taking a lot of classes. I've spent more outside of school than I did in school, but I always knew that I wanted to do a holistic approach to the skin. And now sometimes I wish my business didn't even have that name in it because it's so oversaturated. And I wanted to practice like a global approach to the skin because I knew that if I just focus on what you're using at home and the products that I think that you should use, it's basically giving our clients a disservice. And our job, as you know, is to educate them. And so it was really important for me to keep taking and keep taking. I mean, I haven't taken a class in over a year and I kind of miss it, but I also know that I needed to take a break from taking, I've kind of taken everything that I've wanted to take. There's maybe 1 or 2, but um, I worked for somebody else for 2 years and I knew that I had to kind of put in my time. Then I did open my business in June of 2020 during the pandemic. And I remember my husband saying, what, like during a pandemic? And I was like, yeah. And then the rest is history. Like I opened it, I had to close my books like a year and a half in because it's just me. And you know what that's like, you know. I was overbooked. I was booked 5 months out. It was insane. I'm super grateful for it, but it was also, it took a toll on me mentally and physically. So um, anybody that's thinking about restarting their life, 50 is not too late by any means. I don't think there is such a thing as too late. Too late's when you're dead. If you're putting it off because you're embarrassed or, you know, you find a way. And the biggest advice I would say is don't tell anybody. Like the biggest things that I've accomplished, I've never told anybody about before I've accomplished them because I don't want to hear the outside noise.
Yeah,
But I'm a Gemini, I'm not going to take their advice anyway. So who we kidding?
exactly. Wow, that's really good advice. And I feel like there's like a dopamine hit that you get if you talk too much about what you're doing and you don't actually get the dopamine hit from the doing of it. You get it from announcing it. And then for me, at least, I've learned that the hard way to not announce things until after I've done it, just because I don't feel as motivated to do it after I've said it.
Right, exactly. And I think having a plan, writing it down, as corny as it sounds, like a vision board of whatever you think that looks like, you know, putting out to the universe your thoughts. You know, my husband teases me all the time, but you know, if you think like, oh my God, I can't do this, or then you won't do it.
So you've really focused in on age celebration. You've made that a big part of your messaging. How did you decide to get there? Have you always felt this way about the beauty industry and their messaging towards aging when you were younger? Did you feel that way? Like, what really shifted that, if it did shift for you?
I don't think I noticed it when I was younger because I wasn't paying attention. I mean, I didn't, I was never obsessed. There wasn't this obsession back then with aging. I will tell you a quick story. I went to see a plastic surgeon at 32 years old. my son was 2, and I was starting to get this line,
Yeah.
and I wanted to go see this well-known plastic surgeon in the area that did Botox and filler and stuff like that way back in the day. And this doesn't happen anymore, but he looked at my face and he said, "Come back when you're 60."
Wow. That
Whereas
doesn't happen
nowadays,
anymore.
no, nowadays, and I don't think maybe he wouldn't, but definitely the other ones would have been like, "Yeah, girl, and why don't we do this, this, and this, and this while we're here?" And I never went back. I've never had anything like that done. So I never really noticed. There was not a lot of pressure like there is now. First of all, there wasn't social media. Like there wasn't, I didn't have friends that were like, you should get Botox. Like that to me is the
Yeah.
most appalling thing I've ever heard. I
Yeah.
can't believe that women actually say that to each other, but that's a whole other podcast. So I don't feel like I felt that pressure. When I opened my business is when I was like, okay, this is a problem where women are like stifled to the point of they're they're not living a fulfilling life because all they focus on is their aging process and the fact that they are going to age. I mean, the last time I checked, we weren't vampires, so I don't really know how to explain it to people, but the alternative to aging is dead. Like I will
Right.
say that over and over, and it's a very blunt thing to say, but I just want women to understand and appreciate that honestly, the more you hyper focus on aging, the faster you will age.
Yep.
And
How have your
I
clients responded to this, to your your
and I
attitudes towards
yeah, and
aging?
I when I have a consult with a new client, one of the things I always say is I hate my own industry. I wish it wasn't called the beauty industry. I wish that we could rename it something else. I feel like when I started being more vocal about it, I was shocked at the I mean, I get DMs all day long from women that are like, thank you for saying that. I get DMs, especially from other estheticians who work for someone else and they can't speak their mind on their social media,
Right.
which makes me really sad because their bosses are like, you can't say that about an industry because our clients get Botox and we don't want to offend them. And I'm like, what? So I I I see the shift. I don't like the words anti-aging. You and I both talked about that. I think that some skincare companies are finally jumping on that bandwagon of switching up there's nothing anti about it. It's that just makes it sound bad.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that that changes a little bit. It was a very easy switch to make. It was kind of natural that I parlay because I'm not like you're really good at like narrowing down ingredients and talking about ingredients and the scientific things behind what we do and plants and even techniques. Whereas I'm like, I don't really care about any of that. I do, but I don't. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't spend a lot of time in my training on it. I'm more of like, look at this is what I've experienced. This is what I know you're experiencing. Let's try to help you age in a way that's dignified, doesn't cost you a fortune, and doesn't mentally break you down every single day. And it's been amazing. I have a very specific clientele, and that's on purpose. I'm
Yeah.
not for everybody, nor do I want to be for everybody. And I think you're the same, you know?
Yeah, I would imagine our clients are quite similar. And I think that that's probably why you've been so motivational and inspirational to me with how quickly you have grown your clientele. And I imagine that's why, is because you are very specific in what you're helping people to do. Do you have any practical tips for people who are listening who want to embrace their age, regardless of how old they are? Because I'm 38 and I definitely am seeing the signs of aging in my face now more than I have in the past. Somebody who's 48 is going to feel that same way. Someone who's 68 is going to feel that same way. So, what tips do you have for age embracing?
I think it's a mindset, and I know that it's probably easier for me to have because I am older. I care about my looks just like the next person, but I don't obsess over things anymore. And I wish that women would just understand more that truly, if you not obsess over the fact that you're aging and that your skin is going to change, you your skin thanks you, I think, 10 times over. I've watched it in my own clients when they back off on using a bazillion things on their skin. They, get more sleep, they drink more water, whatever it is that they're doing. They do breath work, they do meditation, they do more internal mindful practices. It's almost like it slows things down because we're in a fight or flight mode 24 hours a day, whether people think it or not. People will say, "Oh, I'm pretty zen." I'm like, "No, actually, you're not." Um, we women, we're notorious for "I'm fine, you're fine, we're all fine." When
Yes.
we're not, and that's okay. But just learning to step back and take a look and appreciate the fact that your skin has gotten you to where you are now, and that there's certain factors that we can't change. There's a lot of genetic predisposition, hereditary things that are going to come with you like luggage. And I can't get rid of, turkey neck, because thank you, Grammy, and to my mom who gave me that. But I don't really care. Like, I care, but I don't care, because
Right.
if I got a smoother neck, it's really not going to make me a better person or more youthful. I think that
Or
youthful,
more happy.
yeah, like youthful mindset to me is more important than the way that you look. And I completely understand that society treats pretty people different. And I think that we take that for granted. And like I've said, our industry is just a watered down version of the diet industry, but quickly catching up. The
Yeah.
tactics are the exact same. These industries don't make money off confident women. They don't. It's a problem that women 22 years old will walk into my office freaking out about a line. And I'm like, well, unless you stop smiling or stop having any kind of facial expressions, you're still going to have that. And by
Right.
the way, who thought of nasolabial folds? That is the dumbest thing. It
Right.
means that you smile. You have these lines on your face because you are an expressive person. You have said things that have brought joy to other people. So if you think of it that way, when you smile, someone smiles back at you. So if you're not smiling at them because your face can't move or whatever, you're worried that you're going to make a wrinkle in your face, it's not helping society. The anti-aging community robs people of their joy, point blank.
Oh, yeah.
And
So
I'm not
good.
going to let any industry rob me of my joy. I can do that on my own, right? I don't need a bazillion dollar industry robbing me of that on a daily basis. So if for me, it's more of just reminding women that you have a certain control over how you can age gracefully, however you want to do that. And again, no judgment to those that go down that road. But if you choose not to, doesn't mean that you don't care about your face. Like that's another whole conversation. If
Yeah.
you don't do Botox and fillers, then you must not care. First of all, Botox and fillers doesn't make you youthful or make you look young. It makes you look like you have Botox and fillers. That's, like I said, a whole other conversation, but it's actually aging your skin because it's
Yeah,
shutting everything off that should be flowing.
exactly. Shutting off that lymph flow, shutting off that
And chi,
chi.
right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Hmm.
Ugh, I love that. I'm not gonna let an anti-aging industry rob me of my joy. Yeah.
There's certain things that we can control. Uh, it's kind of like it just seeps into people and takes them over. And
Yeah.
that's what makes me sad is that women don't think highly of themselves. I use a analogy if there's a little child sitting next to me and I verbally say to them, "You're ugly, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're never going to amount to anything." That to me is the same as if I switch and look in the mirror and look at my face and think negative thoughts. It's the
Yes.
same thing. One
Yes.
is just verbal and one is thinking them. And your skin, I truly believe, acts accordingly. If we're staring at ourselves all the time and completely picking apart every tiny little thing that we think is a flaw, again, it's robbing you of your joy. There's
I
so much.
really do feel that. I feel that the skin responds. I know that you're broadening your brand quite a bit. I've been loving seeing it, and I feel like you're incorporating more of like personal style elements. And I feel like you're kind of weaving that into the pro aging conversation. Tell me more.
So thank you. I was a little nervous to do that, but then again, I'm a Gemini, so I was like, I really don't care. Like if people like it or don't like it, I don't care. So I've always tried to, I think you are the same, to be really mindful about my social media and stay in my lane. But then I was like, okay, I don't really post a lot about skin care. I mean, I'll do videos and things like that and reels, but I've always tried to be extremely mindful of like people need to see the real me in my social media, and I hope that they have. Like I am notorious for posting really inappropriate memes because I'm like a 12-year-old boy trapped inside of a 58-year-old woman. So as you know, have been on a weight loss journey, and I've always liked fashion. I've liked it since I was a kid. I have never really dressed like my friends. I just have always just kind of done my own thing. You know, I've been very lucky. Women are like, "Where did you get that?" You know, "I love your style," blah blah blah. So I thought, "Oh, I'm gonna start a new business because I have so much time." Um, because on the side, in the past years, I have helped people style themselves for certain things. I've gone over to their homes and given them a closet audit, which means you pull everything out of your closet, and then the goal is to find you like eight, what is it called? Capsule. That's what they call it. So I've done that on the DL. I haven't really talked about it. And I launched Aesthetically Styled. I thought, okay, I'm going to use the word aesthetic and just put my name at the end of it and then put the word styled at the end of it. Created another Instagram. But before that, I had started doing like the outfit of the day just as a joke because I have a separate group of friends that we tend to have this bag problem, meaning we have way too many bags. And we'll send each other messages of like the outfit of the day, the bag of the day, blah, blah, blah. So I started doing that. So I thought, okay, I just got in a habit of posting my outfits because I was starting to feel better about myself. And I truly feel like I've come into my own even more in the last year and a half. And I wanted to share that. And again, it's just another example of certain things were robbing me of my joy. And I had to kind of take that back. And I know that that's a journey that a lot of people struggle with. I wanted to incorporate the fact that women over 50 are told a lot of times, like, that's not appropriate for you. I don't even know what that means. As long as I'm not hurting someone else, then I don't see what the problem is. And, you know, if a 25-year-old wears like a cardigan, is that not inappropriate because it's supposed to be for an older person? Like, you could say the same thing. I just think that society gets in this thing of like, if an older woman is trying to show her creative self in whatever way she chooses, and if it's through fashion, sometimes again there's that thumb holding people down, and I don't agree with that. And if I can make a difference in like one person putting on a outfit that at first they were like, oh, I don't think I could ever wear this, and then realize, yeah, I can, then that's my job is done. This is a way for me to send the message without even talking about skin or your face or aging, but just in a different way of embracing your age and whatever that looks like to you. If it looks like a pair of ripped jeans and some Adidas and a tank top, which is my uniform, wear it all day
Yeah.
long. You
I
know?
think it blends together beautifully. There's this book that I love called Snow Leopard, and it's all about like you're creating your own niche. So it's like, yes, you can be a holistic esthetician focusing on pro aging, and there's also about 1,000. Well, I would say maybe there's about 40. It feels like 1,000 because I follow all of them. But,
Yeah.
there's other people doing it. And then you can take something else, like I take herbalism and add it to that. You take fashion, your other passions, and you make this niche that's a niche of one. And I think that's so smart. And it's just going to bring you more joy and it's going to reach that specific person who you want to talk to so much more easily. And
I
it's
think
more interesting for people on Instagram. I mean, we want to see a full view or a full version of a person.
Yeah.
And so
I think,
I find it refreshing.
well, thank you. And you nailed it. It's like niching down has always been something that I've been a big fan of. I don't do waxing, I don't do lash stuff, I don't do anything except facials and body work. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's because I don't have any interest in those other things, and nor am I good at it. I would rather send you to my friend Katie, who is an incredible esthetician that does nails, waxing, facials, or my friend April, who is an incredible makeup artist who
Sure.
also does facials and waxing. There's other people in my wheelhouse that I
Yeah.
would much rather send people to. Like if I have someone that wants to know more about Laurel and like the background, the ingredients, I send them to you because you will take the time to talk about plants. Like I learn from you all the time about plants. I think marshmallow is one of my favorite plants because of you, you
So
know?
good. I love
So,
her.
right? So there's people in our industry that are far better at what I could ever even imagine,
Yeah.
but I don't have any interest in being them, if
And
that
that
makes sense.
goes back to that confidence thing once again, like liking who you are, liking how you do it,
And
and
it's
knowing that you don't have to be everything for everyone.
right. And I think too, with the whole message with the over 50, I mean, over 50 topic is a hot topic. And there's menopause, there's weight gain, there's anxiety, there's lack of sleep, there's all the things that come with being over 50. But there's also this amazing crown that you get to wear when you hit 50 and over that I don't know who places it on your head. I don't know if it's you, some divine being, the universe. I don't know who placed it on your head, but there was definitely a crown that was placed on my head at some point after 50 that I will never take off. And I'm going to shine that bitch up every day before I leave. And so, as far as encouraging women to age, like I can't wait until I get to chat with you in your 50s
Yeah.
because you're going to have such a different outlook on things. And it's just more joy, but you don't give a shit. Like you really don't give a shit anymore. That's the best thing that comes with being a certain age is you just don't care.
Well, I feel like you answered everything that I was wanting. Well, I guess like what change? What's like the biggest change if you could have a legacy of creating change in this industry? What does that look like to you? What changes would you like to see? And I mean, I feel like you're already making so many changes. Is there
I
anything
think
else that you want to do?
my wish would be is women to just be kinder to each other. We already have enough things going against us. We don't need each other going against us and embracing each other and reminding each other the beautiful queens that we are, regardless of what age you are or the surface of your skin or how many wrinkles you have doesn't define you as a person. You know, like when you die, your tombstone doesn't say that bitch had a lot of wrinkles. Like no one cares. Like no one cares. Your tombstone or your death or people when people are talking about you at your wake, no one's being like, you know what, she had the best skin ever. No, nobody cares. They don't care. They care about how we are as human beings to each other. And especially now in our society, I feel like it's a lost art. I try to, when I'm out and about, I will try to compliment at least like three women that I see just randomly. Target, grocery store, going through the drive-through. Hey girl, I love your nails. I love your glasses. I love your hair. I love your skin, whatever. I love your clothes. Because I promise you, when you say that to somebody, it's like it's like you just gave them $1 million. It's the best feeling to compliment other people. And it's a selfish thing in its own way because you feel so good when you make someone else smile and happy. And it's free. It's free 99, as my friend Melinda. But I think if you start to learn to be kinder to yourself, it's easier to be kinder to other people. One of this weird thing that I do at night when I go to sleep, this is gonna sound totally weird, but whatever, is that when I'm laying in bed and I close my eyes, I make myself smile. I smile at the end of my day before I fall asleep because I'm trying to give the end of my day a happy ending. And we both know, like being business owners, being a mom, whatever, you usually go to bed with 7,000 bad things on your mind. And so I'm trying to change my mind as I'm falling asleep to have a smile before I go to sleep. When you
Nice.
smile, when you physically smile, even over nothing, it sends this message to your brain that everything is okay. Like I swear, every time I've done it, I've laid in bed and you can't not feel good when you smile.
I think that's such a perfect tip to end on. I love that. I'm going to do that tonight.
Try it.
Thank you. How can people get a hold of you or hang out with you? What platforms do you hang out on the most? How can
Oh my
they
goodness.
be in your
It's
circle?
So my Instagram, Holistic Skin and Tonics. And then there's my other Instagram, which is aesthetically styled. And then there's TikTok, which is, I think, Holistic Skin and Tonics. I've been having too much fun on TikTok. TikTok's like the Wild West, by the
I
way.
love watching your TikToks. They're so
Like you
fun.
can do whatever you want. And then I have my Amazon storefront and then the LTK. Those are all linked in my link tree in my bio.
Okay.
Um, that's where I spend probably way too much time.
I'll link those in the show notes so that people can find you, follow you. I think you're such a great follow, especially on TikTok. I love your TikTok. It's so fun and you look so good.
Thanks,
So
Karen. I feel good.
I'm so glad. Well, thank you again. I love you. I'm
I love
grateful
you
for
too.
you.
Grateful for
We'll
you.
see you guys next week. You've been listening to Skin, Earth, Vitality. If you liked what you heard today, consider giving me a 5-star rating. It helps other people just like you find the show. You can shop products and find all of my offerings on my website, stratumaesthetics.com, and follow me on my social channels at Stratum Aesthetics.